Wearside. I'm Angela Burns.
And I'm Ben Whitler. This is the news this evening.
The UK Independence Party have announced their new party leader as Paul Nuttall. The 39-year-old has served as deputy leader of the party for the last 6 years. UKIP chairman Paul Oakton made the announcement following the resignation of previous winner Diane James after just 18 days in the role. Mr Nuttall will start work immediately and will reunite the party, which has been marred by infighting since Mr Farage quit following this summer's Brexit victory. His first act as leader was to appoint London Assembly member Peter Whittle as his deputy. UKIP is the fastest rising party in the North East and the second most popular party in Sunderland.
Dementia is quickly becoming one of Britain's most common killers. Earlier in the week, reporter Divya Jakuma spoke to the Essence service, who provide help for people with dementia. Just apologising for that, there's been a technical delay, but we'll get that sorted as soon as possible.
Men in the North East are still earning more than women, according to a new report. The Office for National Statistics has revealed that the gender pay gap is worse in the North East than the national average. Men are earning around £12.65 an hour, while women in the same job would only average £9.87. Beth Smith has more. Right, sorry about that. We'll move on to our next story.
Yeah, we did have another VT ready for this, but we're just going to move on to our Cyber Monday one.
Sorry about that. We'll be back in just a moment. We'll get back to you with the rest of today's stories. I'm Angela Burns.
And I'm Ben Whitler. This is the news this evening.
The UK Independence Party have announced their new party leader as Paul Nuttall. The 39-year-old has served as deputy leader of the party for the last 6 years. UKIP chairman Paul Oakton made the announcement following the resignation of previous winner Diane James after just 18 days in the role. Mr Nuttall will start work immediately and will need to reunite the party, which has been marred by infighting since Mr Farage quit following this summer's Brexit victory. His first act as leader was to appoint London Assembly member Peter Whittle as his deputy. UKIP is the fastest rising party in the North East and the second most popular party in Sunderland.
Dementia is quickly becoming one of Britain's most common killers. Earlier in the week, reporter Divya Jakuma spoke to the Essence service, who provide help for people with dementia.
Dementia, including Alzheimer's disease, has overtaken heart disease as the leading cause of death in England and Wales, latest figures reveal. People are living for longer and deaths for some other causes, including heart disease, have decreased.
There's actually over 100 different types of dementia. Depending on the part of the brain that's affected, Alzheimer's disease is a type of dementia. Dementia basically means disease of the brain. The risk of developing dementia increases as you get older. So as people are living longer, the rates are going up. but it's not necessarily an older person's condition.
There are around 850,000 people living with dementia in the UK, and it has a heavy impact on family and friends. Derek Brown, a civil servant from Sunderland, tells us his experience.
My ex-partner, her mother has Alzheimer's dementia, and depending on the medication, she's either manic and doing really odd, bizarre, silly things, or she's a zombie, and there just doesn't seem to be any halfway. It's either one thing or another.
If anybody is concerned, two things I would suggest: discuss with your GP. Alternatively, people can self-refer to the Memory Protection Service. They can do further tests, and often, they give out the diagnosis there. Here at the Essence Service, we're here to help anybody early stage dementia. So I would encourage anyone to come in for an informal chat, and we'll do as much as we can to provide information and signpost on.
Men in the North East are still earning more than women, according to a new report. The Office for National Statistics has revealed that the gender pay gap is worse in the North East than the national average. Men are earning around £12.65 an hour, while women in the same job would only average £9.87. Beth Smith has more.
New figures show how much more men are earning than women in the North East. Across the region, men earn the equivalent of £12.65 an hour, while women make just £9.87. That's just under £3 less. We asked the people of Sunderland what they think about this.
I don't think they should get paid any more than women. We do the same job. I don't see why a man should get more than
I think it should be based on ability, not necessarily sex, because you could be a fella and be useless, and be a woman and be better ability. And because I'm a manager, me and my colleague were both women, and we run the men, and we have to tell them what to do, and if it wasn't for us, the place would fall apart. But just because they're a fella doesn't, it depends on training, ability, and your knowledge. If you can, I don't know, it doesn't make sense if it's just based on sex.
Just being male in the North East could make you an extra £2.78 an hour in your pay packet.
One factor in the gender divide when it comes to wages is the number of men and women in full-time compared to part-time employment. In the North East, 80% of working men have full-time jobs, whereas 46% of women work part-time. Should this be an excuse in the gender pay gap? Beth Smith, Word on Wearside, Sunderland.
Back to our earlier headline, and today the UK Independence Party elected a new leader. A warning to sensitive viewers, this package contains flashing photography. Ethan Lowison Marshall has this report.
And new leader of the UK Independence Party with 9,622 votes, 62.6% of the votes, Paul Nuttall.
UKIP party chair Paul Ogden there announcing the result as UKIP have elected a new leader. Paul Nuttall beat Stephen Evans and John Rees-Evans in the leadership contest and says he must now unite the party. He replaces Nigel Farage, who quit following the decision to leave the EU. But Mr Farage has been the interim leader after Diane James lasted just 18 days in charge of the party and has now left altogether. We all remember the iconic scenes of Sunderland voting for Brexit back on June 23rd, which have since come to define the referendum. And with UKIP growing in support and fastly becoming the second biggest political party in Sunderland, what will the new leader bring for the North East? Alan Davies is the UKIP constituency chair for Houghton and Sunderland South.
I certainly voted for Nuttall myself, and I think he's the best man for the job. He's got history being deputy leader for quite a while. He gets himself about. He's not bad on TV. He's a reasonable public speaker. He can have some improvement in that certainly, but he's quite good. He's a northerner. Now the northerner part of it is quite important to me.
Do you still think though that there's going to be a future for UKIP without Nigel Farage? We're seeing him as a bit of a figurehead for the kind of whole campaign almost. People see UKIP as just Nigel Farage. Is there still a future?
Many people might think, or did think, that Nigel Farage was UKIP and UKIP was Nigel Farage. Without a doubt, he was a massive part of it. But life goes on. He's still there to help, he says, assuming we need any help. But I think that Nuttall will take UKIP forward in quite a big way. We've been sort of standing still the last few months while the leadership election has been happening. UKIP are required to make sure, do our damnedest to make sure that the will of the people actually happens.
The new UKIP boss has said he'll be looking to win over Labour voters here in the north, so time will tell what the new leader will mean for Sunderland. Ethan Lowes and Marshall, word on Wearside.
Now for a follow-up from your Black Friday deals, going on to Cyber Monday. We'll find out where to find the best deals and what to expect from the one-day event. Despite its name, Cyber Monday is unlikely to take the crown from Black Friday in terms of online sales. Last year's Cyber Monday only clocked up about half as many online transactions as Black Friday. On our online poll, we found that 75% of people preferred Cyber Monday than Black Friday. We will be asking the public what they think of the event and will they be taking part. Sorry about that, we've got a few technical errors.
Yeah. People in Sunderland may have to work until they are 70 before they can get their pension. This could affect up to 30 million people nationwide. It's the younger generation that will be affected most by these changes, now having to work extra 5 years before receiving a pension.
With the rising age of pensions going up to 70 now, it will affect many younger adults. Robert Jones is a 79-year-old retired builder who has his pension. However, he has disagreements regarding the new pension settlement.
Oh, I don't agree with that. Of course. Especially women. It's all right for men, but not for a woman.
Why?
Why? A woman's had a harder life than what men get. As far as I'm concerned, they have harder lives with children, one thing or another. They need a little bit, you know what I mean? I might be wrong, but that's my opinion.
Robert has strong beliefs about who should get more pension money from the government.
It's a curious thing to be on, but the pension should be, when you're paying to it, fair enough, but women should have a little bit extra as far as I'm concerned, because the burden they carry over, you know, when they get married and the children doing it, a man couldn't do it. A man couldn't do it at all. I'm not lying or joking. I mean, I lost my wife, but I was saying what my sister and all them go. My mum went through, when there was nothing in them days, when mum was young, everything was hard grind. The dinners on the fire and all that, the hard work, and they need a little bit respite, and they need a little bit extra, the women. Not the men, the women could do, might do, but a lot of people are against it, aren't there? More people are against it, which I don't agree. But then again, I'm only one, it's my opinion, like. But you should, when you retire, you should have a decent living, you know, a standard of living. You shouldn't have to scrape and struggle all the time. I'm not like going buying the big motor cars and all that. I mean, you just live in, you know, and you live within your means. But you don't want to be struggling. You know, I want to go struggling, I haven't got the money to get this. You're frightened to buy this and frightened to do that where you have no money. That shouldn't be. You should always be.
Well, you ask him that.
How do you think this will affect university students?
You what?
How do you think this will affect a university student?
Well, I don't agree with the university young lads, girls and boys paying. Should get it free, like they did till Tony Blair took it all away. Should be free. Everything should be free in university. I'm not talking about wasting time, but university should be free for everybody. Mm-hmm. Should be and it's, you know, it's our future. The university. But if they go to university and they don't do the work, they shouldn't be in the university. Be turfed out. Mm-hmm. But it should be free.
With the younger generation being affected the most, he had this to say specifically about university students.
Well, I don't agree with the university young lads, girls and boys paying. Should get it free, like they did till Tony Blair took it all away. Should be free. Everything should be free in university. I'm not talking about wasting time, but university should be free for everybody. Should be noted, and it's, you know, it's our future.
So it seems every generation is going to be affected by the pension age race.
We'd like to know your views on this story. Tweet us at Word on Wearside. Tell us how this may affect you and your family.
The RNLI have unveiled a statue commissioned by East Durham Heritage Group and Lifeboat Centre at Seaham Harbour to honour the sacrifices made by the Royal National Lifeboat Institution crew and staff who worked at the harbour station between 1870 and 1979. Madison has more.
The Coxswain statue at Seaham Harbour Marina honours the sacrifices made by the staff and crew of the Royal National Lifeboat Institution between 1870 and 1979. The statue was unveiled yesterday and commissioned by the East Durham Heritage Group and Lifeboat Centre.
I was approached by the Heritage Group from the lifeboat station here, so they asked me to come up with a design to do with the RNLI. So this came about from that basis. I could work on a single figure and you work to their budget, so you're sort of working things out from different aspects to give them what they want.
And what made you decide on this design?
Well, I wanted to try and work on a single life-size figure, but I wanted to try and get some movement in it. So I wanted to try and have the base as part of the deck. So it's as if the boat is hitting some heavy waves and the front's coming up and it's tipping to one side, so he's wrestling with the boat and trying to control it. That's the idea of it.
And how do you feel about all the people walking around today to see your artwork?
Oh, that's great. It's nice that people have sort of linked with the Tommy figure up the top and come down from there. So hopefully, it's 2 points of interest where people can come to and view things and see different parts of the harbour. So hopefully get people about.
What impact are you trying to create with the statue?
Well, you always just want interest from people. That's the main thing. The worst thing that can happen is people just walk past it and ignore it. But you want to try and sort of give people something to look at and sort of take more from it than just the aesthetic. So hopefully it works.
Visitors at the statue also give their thoughts.
This statue is a really good addition to Seaham. It's going to bring lots of tourists, hopefully, because Tommy itself already brings a lot of people into the area, and especially down to the marina, and boost business. So yeah, it's really exciting. Everyone comes to see it, so it's always a good turnout.
I love the statue. I can tell that it's the same as excellent work as the big statue on top of the cliff here, and the expression on the face is amazing. It's very moving, really, to be here at a seaport where they've made their living from the sea, and they've obviously had to go and rescue a lot of people here, because this part of the coast there've always been shipwrecks and fishermen in trouble.
But it goes well down here, and I mean, it is to commemorate the lifeboat's loss, and so it's quite nice. I'm just going out to take a picture of it myself, show the wife when I go back home.
I think it's tremendous. He's done us pray, but we were connected because my dad was one of the people who looked out that night, and it was a horrific day, and we lived over the pit, so the pit canteen opened, and all the ladies all helped, film crew, anybody, volunteers, and so everybody from us being little, we were involved.
Taxi marshalling services are facing being cut by as early as April next year as Sunderland Council aim to save £125,000. If the much-needed services axe, taxi drivers and revellers fear they may be subjected to more violence from drunks. The cuts have come about as the council aims to make £74 million in savings by 2020 as part of the government's austerity programme. The marshals, who work mainly at the Green Terrace taxi rank on Friday, Saturday and Monday nights, may be saved if city centre businesses that benefit from the service make a contribution. Our reporter Chris Larmouth has spoken to the Managing Director of Sunderland Station Taxis.
The Coxswain statue.
Well, the marshals have proved to be very successful. Sunderland isn't alone in having taxi marshals. Many towns and cities that have a thriving evening economy have taxi marshals. It protects the public, it protects the driver, and it's a safer environment around taxi ranks people change when they're in drink, obviously, and there is some sort of semblance of order in taxi ranks when the marshals are there, because unfortunately you do get some of the clever people who think I'll jump the queue, and when people have had a drink that leads to a little bit of friction, to say the least, and it scares people away from the ranks, and it just makes it a very, very nasty environment.
And what would be your sort of solution without taxi marshals? How would you aim to...
Well, this has recently come to light, and I would like to think that we can somehow manage to retain them. We all realise that every council is under tremendous pressure with the austerity cuts, and everything's being cut. Every department has to cut, and it looks like taxi marshals are in the firing line. So I would like to think that we could identify some sort of funding stream, because the licensees are concerned, the police are concerned, the taxi drivers are concerned, and I would imagine a lot of the general public will be concerned as far as safety matters.
How do you think it would affect the safety of your drivers?
Well, when you have a taxi rank which isn't orderly, you have skirmishes at the front when people are trying to, jump the queue. That can sometimes tend to escalate where they fall against the taxi, they damage the taxi. The driver becomes involved. They eventually get inside the taxi, and then they start picking on the taxi driver, especially if the person's just jumped the queue, because they're aggressive anyway. So, like I say, it's a far better environment on a taxi rank late at night, early hours of the morning, when there are marshals.
People are saying that bars and taxi firms should provide the taxi marshal service. What's your sort of stance on that?
Well, this has been mentioned before. Not so much the taxis providing the money, but certainly the licensees, because let's face it, rightly or wrongly, the licensees are fueling these people into that state where they're causing trouble. The poor taxi driver is the innocent person who's trying to take them home. So in some respects, a lot of taxi drivers would say, that's a bit unfair, me having to pay this. They should have refused them drinks. They shouldn't have let them in the premises. They've obviously had too much to drink. So perhaps the main onus is on the licensees and the premises. But I believe there are funding streams like Safer Cities, which needs to be looked at before this decision is made. And just in case the council can, even if it's reduced funding, if it could be matched funding with one of these other funding streams, they could retain them, because I think it is essential. And I think if you speak to the police and you speak to the licensees, the bar owners, those establishments, they'll probably feel even stronger than we do.
I'd just like to apologise for any green flashing going on throughout the programme there. We're just going to go over to Ryan Smith now for a roundup of the weekend sport.
Sunderland were away to Liverpool on Saturday. A win at Anfield would have meant that they would climb out the relegation zone for the first time since August. However, that was not to be the case, as Liverpool took the lead in the 75th minute following a goal from Origi. Sunderland pushed for the equaliser in the 90th minute. Didier Ndong fouled Mane in the box, and James Milner put away the penalty. Despite getting beat 2-0, David Moyes praised the performance of his players after the match, saying that they played well against one of the better sides in the Premier League.
The players done the job. We asked, we knew it was going to be tough. We knew we were playing one of the best teams in the Premier League at this moment in time, so it was going to be difficult. And I've praised them because I think they done the job which we wanted them to do, was to stay in the game, keep defending when they had to.
Following Swansea's win against Crystal Palace, the result saw Sunderland return to the bottom of the Premier League table. Elsewhere in the Premier League, Middlesbrough were held to a 2-2 draw against Leicester City, taking them up to 15th place in the Premier League. Newcastle's unbeaten run in the Championship came to an end as they lost 1-0 at home to Blackburn. Despite the result, Newcastle remain top of the Premier League, but Brighton have managed to close the gap from 5 points to 2 points. Rafa Benitez will hope that they can put the result behind them as they go away to Hull in the English League Football Cup tomorrow night. On to cricket, and it has been revealed that Durham will begin the 2017 season in April at home to Nottinghamshire. The match will begin their bid to get back to the County Championship Division 1. The club finished 4th in the top flight last season. However, they were relegated to Division 2 as a result of financial issues. And finally, in rugby union, it was an away win for Newcastle Falcons as they beat Northampton Saints 22-14. The result will boost confidence ahead of the visit of Harlequins on Sunday. That's it from me for sport. Back to Ben and Angela.
Thanks for that, Ryan. Now for a look at the weather across the region. It's mainly dry and cloudy. Expect a clear night with very light winds and minimum temperatures of -4.
That was today's news, weather and sport. Join us again next week at 4 for Word on Wearside show. Thanks for watching. I'm Angela Burns.
And I'm Ben Whitler.